just started the recording, and we can go ahead and get started in here.
No, sure.
Okay, so first thing with lamps, generally we want to make sure that lamps are going to corners. So in the same way that I would assume that we've talked about positioning at some point, and you understand positioning is good positioning is the usage of cover, bad positioning is the absence of cover. If we're standing on the open, we get shot. If we're standing next to something, we can, we don't get shot. So with our lamps, we want to make sure that they are covered by a corner, a wall, an object, and this way they don't get instantly melted because they're out in the open and we get its full duration. So typically we want to try to place it on a corner. So for example, if we're trying to save some people here, we would throw it like right side on right over here. And even if it's really essentially we're only throwing it out in the open if they're gonna die and they're like 1 HP and we're trying to save them. But at that point, we might not even save them for long. So you're usually going to get more value out of putting it around the corner. Because if they're 1 HP and they just instantly shred shred your lamp, then they're going to die anyways.
Yeah, that makes sense. And also, I guess it was a bit late.
Yeah, so let's see. I think he does just get absolutely blown up here. Yeah. So you can see it just gets destroyed, and then that means that I'm not sure. I thought it showed up in kill feed. Apparently, it doesn't here. Yeah, so it gets destroyed, and then that just means that it doesn't stay up for its full duration. We get less value out of it. Okay, keep in mind the difference between your BAP and Ana shots is, BAP has 3 individual shots, so you want to make sure that you're hitting all 3, which means that you have to have a tracking aim style, right? When you're trying to hit more than one single shot, you have to make sure that your crosshair is continuously on the target. When you're only hitting one shot, then your crosshair doesn't have to be continuously on the target, though it helps. So in this situation, just make sure that when we're aiming for the ball, we're trying to not just hit one single shot, we're trying to hit all 3. Because that's how we're doing the most damage we can do. So make sure you're trying to track the person. Okay, again, out in the open with a lamp.
I did it then because of the McCree ult.
Yeah, which in any case, even if we did hear
the McCree,
still looking for cover with it because we do have McCree cannot shoot us instantaneously as a charge up time, right? So we have a second before he's actually gonna be able to see us. So, I think he even shoots us here and we don't actually. He's not like when he shoots at us. You can probably see this. He doesn't even fully charge it. It looks like. So we actually have some time, right? High noon. Little too slow. So he shoots before it's even fully charged on us, which means it only does like half damage. So we have some time. We had more time than this. So just make sure you're looking to place it next to something. Could be this right side. It could be inside over here. Actually, I don't. That might actually put it. I think that might block it. But to be only inside, you could put it over here. Right? We just want it near something so it's not out in the open. That way, we just get more max value out of it. Don't focus pretty much at all on healing whenever we have trance up. Baptiste, like Ana, right? We probably talked about like how in Ana when people are full HP, we want to be prioritizing sleeps and nades. We want to be looking to do other things. Whenever people here are not in need of healing, we're looking for damage, right? That's just kind of how Baptiste works. That's how like Moya works as a character. Is anytime healing isn't needed, we do damage, and so damage is kind of our default. And then anytime healing is needed, we swap to healing. In this instance, we're just healing a little too much when healing's not even necessary. Now healing's necessary. Now we should be healing, but we spent a good portion here just healing when it wasn't needed. So you're gonna see this in a moment. We trance, right? So we're healing. We're healing. Oh, we damage a little bit. We heal. Right, we're healing. Okay, so we just spend a couple seconds too long on healing when we're in the middle of trance and everyone's full HP. Pay attention to health bars because it wasn't needed in that instance. All right. Do we talk too much about or talk at all about ult tracking and fight planning and stuff like that?
Yeah, we did last time. Yeah, a
All
fair
right.
bit.
So then we can just go off of that point and continue to get better at that. So they're coming up. We can ult track. They have nano blade, right? We only have BAP lamp, so we know we're gonna have to hold on to lamp specifically for the nano blade. We don't have any ult combos, but we can just use BAP and Dragon here. Probably gonna want to look to use our ults, hopeful because they have a more powerful, they have a more powerful ult combo than we have, right? So we want to make sure we're trying to um, use our ults a little bit earlier here, so we can maybe win the fight before they get a chance to use their ults. But we just want to make sure that our whole team's also paying attention to the Genji. We can try to chain CC him. Really, all what we have going for us right now is that we have stun, we have rock, we have hook, and we have lamp. So we can just make it super difficult for Genji to get on us.
Regen up. Barrier's about to break.
Okay, so we got a pick. You got two, very nice. Alright, so we play Slamp, but to be honest, this is alright because of the fact that they are kind of down two people, so even if they blade now, it's not going to get nearly as much value, and as well as the fact that we're saving our Zenyatta, who, if they use blade, they're going to pretty much be getting the same amount of people anyways. So that, I think, is fine. You just hopefully get that back in time.
All better. Now. Regen burst activated.
Okay.
Oh,
Good.
sorry, one thing I want to ask: am I jumping too much, or is that fine?
Jump. So there are times where you want to limit your jumps, specifically when they have a lot of head scan and longer range characters. So on their team comp, we have to be a little bit careful because of the McCree. Um, I think that we're jumping in instances where McCree can't really see us, so it's fine, and the jumping gives us better angles on our team and to look around us, so it gives us a lot of visibility because it's giving us height. And then this can also be a very good anti-dive and a good way to get to high ground. You just want to make sure that you're not doing it too much when you're actively getting shot at or people are
Mhm.
looking at you. So if McCree is looking at you and he has high noon, or if he's just shooting at you, then we might not want to do this. But if Genji's diving us, if Ball's on top of us, then jumping's going to be fantastic because it's going to be getting us away from the dive a lot easier. So there are instances where it's really good and instances where it's bad. The Theta Widowmaker probably not want to do very much. But when you're trying to take high ground, when they're on divey stuff, then that becomes a lot better. And in an instance like this, where McCree's nowhere to be seen to shoot at us, we're perfectly fine to be adding in jumps. Now, here in a second, um, our shift isn't too much of a powerful ability, so most of the time I don't really focus on it too much. But it does seem like we misused it a couple times. We have misused it a
All
couple
better.
times here.
For now.
Your shift basically has two functions, right? You're healing. Either you use it to burst heal when people need healing like a lot, so they're in danger, or you use it when you need healing and again you're in danger and your Zenyatta can't help you or something like that, right? So either you're healing yourself or you're healing your team. We end up using it a lot when our team really isn't in much danger, which is just kind of mistimed with it, and this happened a couple times. So just watch the instance where we use it.
Regen burst activated.
Like
Um,
then,
who on our team needs burst healing?
not really anybody.
Yeah, not really anybody. So therefore, this probably could be used in a better situation. I'm bringing it up because this has been. I noticed that. again with some other abilities, and I don't typically spend too much time on shift because it's an ability that's not really that powerful in comparison to other abilities in the game, but we are misusing this, so just make sure that we're using it to burst when people are in burst heal when people are in danger. The same way on Ana, how you would use nade to burst heal, a tank who is in danger of dying. Now, on Baptiste, you don't have to be as careful with it because on Ana you want to be able to have that nade for the anti. On Baptiste, it's not really as big of an ability, so you can use it a lot more leniently for healing. But we just want to make sure that when we are using it, it's not in a situation where absolutely nobody needs it, and then that way we still have the cooldown.
Better?
Oh, very nice shot there. All right, now he's coming in with his ult. We probably are using our ult a little too late here. Like I was saying, we want to be actually. First off, here, let's get back into the ult tracking, right? Since there are a lot more ults on the table now that people have staggered a whole lot. We know that they have Nanoblade. They're coming in. They're gonna be close to Ball. They're gonna be close to Sigma ult. They're gonna be close to High Noon, and we know they have Valk, right? On our team, we are close to a whole lot. We have High Noon, we have Bap, we almost have Trance, we almost have Sig, we have Dragon, but he's dead. So we have a lot of things. We don't really have anything to directly counter the Blade. We can High Noon for the Blade, but the real we have three big ults that can counter Blade that we just don't have. We Trance counters Blade, Flux counters Blade, and Whole Hog counters Blade, and we don't have any of those three. So in this situation, the best thing we could probably be doing is using our ults fast. Um, so I don't know if this was something we said last time. Did we talk about why you want to use your ults fast?
Right. Yeah, we did. So you
Mm.
can use it and then start building it again as quickly as possible.
Yep, and then more so, sorry. Why would you want to use your ult at the very beginning of a fight?
Oh right. Oh god, we didn't. You did talk about this. I can't remember the specific reason.
Yeah, so basically, when you use your ult first, it gets more value than ults that are used second because you
Right,
start
reactively.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah.
So when we use our ultimate, we get kills, we get picks, we get damage in. Therefore, we have the advantage, and that means that if they use Nanoblade after that point, they're already down a bunch of people. So any picks they get are worth less, and on top of that, they just aren't. He's not gonna have as much follow up. He's not gonna have as much team support, and therefore we can all focus him just a bit easier. So we want to make sure we're using our ult earlier in this fight and not holding on to it because we do use it a little bit late. Probably want to use it before they blade. Here we use it after they blade, and then that means that we just don't get as much value out of it. Okay, good lamp timing, but then once again, make sure it's
Bad position.
behind something.
Yeah.
Be prepared with your lamps, so be thinking of situations that you need it, but then also where you can place it. So be prepared to have to, you don't want to be panicking with your lamps, right? The easiest way to not land a good lamp is to not be ready for it. So first off, we need to know what we're using lamp for. So in this instance, I think we have a pretty good understanding. We need it for blade, right? But the other thing is we need to be thinking, okay, well, they're going to come in with a blade. Where's our team standing? Where am I going to place lamp? Right? We have two. I probably say we have mainly two different areas where we could place it. We could place it if our team's standing right here. We could place it right here, right around this corner. That way, nobody but Genji can shoot at it. Or if our team's positioned a little bit closer, we could place it on this corner again, so that nobody but Genji can shoot at it. Therefore, it stays alive longer, and Genji gets less value, and we can all shoot at him. Right. So again, just make sure we're placing it on around cover, not on the open.
Let them out.
Yeah, just use a little bit late in the fight, but I do think that it is still appropriate. I think it's still alright to use it because it is a 3v4, so this is still winnable. Though it does come very late. It probably would have gotten more value if we had used it much earlier here.
At what point would you think I should have used it?
Probably whenever they started pushing choke, right? That when we see that they're approaching through main and they can't really get away too easily, that's when we probably want to use it. So right around here, right now, like
Then, right, I got you.
because they start because look at where Sigma's at. For him to not take damage, he has to back through the choke point, which takes a while, and therefore we could probably kill him pretty easily. And then on top of that, this deters any further pushing. Means that if Sigma dies in choke here, Mercy can't really get res off too easily. So essentially just like 5 seconds before Genji blades here.
Right,
Would have
and
been
Sigma's
great.
literally 1 HP.
Yep.
As well. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Let them out.
Okay, so he gets stuck in the little cart there, so that's unfortunate. All right.
Someone's looking out for me.
So they just used a bunch of ults there at the end, so that's good for us. We now know that they are coming into the next fight with Flux, Ball, and High Noon here, so they're probably going to go for like a Flux High Noon or a Flux Mines, either or. We almost have Transcendence. We are going to have our Lamp, and we are going to have Flux, and we're going to have Dragon, alright? So we're thinking about, okay, what are we going to do? First off, we want to tell our team to play a little bit split so we're not all getting caught in the Flux. We need to be careful because they are going to High Noon it, so Lamp and Transcendence aren't really going to do anything against that. So the only counter we can do to that is, first off, paying attention to the McCree, right? Being ready to kill McCree. And then on top of that, just making sure that not all of us are pulled up in the flux, because if we get fluxed, we die, right? Doesn't matter if we trance, doesn't matter if we use lamp. If they do use flux high noon as a combo, we just lose, right? So we want to make sure that our team's prepared for that, so that we're not end them getting screwed here. On top of that, we can do our own combo and do a Flux Dragon, which is a very powerful combo. You know, when they're pulled up in the air and they get slammed down, they're all a half HP, and then they can't really. They have that second where they can't move out of it, where they're just kind of stuck in the Dragon. Flux Dragon is a very, very powerful combo. Okay, so they just come in with mines. Good when no one's in it, so we don't need any lamp. Okay, so far just general mechanics are seeming fine. Like we hit shots fine. We're right clicking all right with people. Again, maybe another instance where shift isn't needed and we're just kind of pressing it to press it. I guess maybe we're trying to get our health up, but in this instance, if we look top left, everybody on our team is full HP, so this doesn't really get us much value, and you probably should have just, requested healing. That way you don't have to waste the cooldown. So again, just more misuse of it. So ability management is probably going to be one of the bigger ones here. Okay, so we use Flux. Let's see, we follow up with a Dragon. Okay, we do not follow it up. Oh, we do follow it up with Dragon. Maybe just a little bit delayed, though. So sorry, I'm rewatching this because I was looking at ultimates.
What is that melody?
Okay, it looks like we misplaced Lamp there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, just make sure we're really concentrating on this ability, as it seems like we're misplacing it quite a bit. Get used to it, really focus in on it, because when this happens and we're being inconsistent with it, then people end up dying. It's really like we talked about how important nade is on Ana, right? This is Baptiste's big ability. This is the one that really counts. It, like shift, you can mess up shift all you want, and it probably would only affect your SR by a maybe 100 SR. I probably wouldn't say it's too much of a big deal, even though it is something to fix. And if you're getting to top levels of play, that's something that matters. But your lamp usage, if you can get that to be much more consistent, that's where you're going to see a very large improvement. Because right now it's just very inconsistent with, one, the timing, and two, the placement. So we want to make sure that we're not messing that up, because here it looks like we're trying to save these guys and we just toss it at the floor here, right? To make sure we're getting that all well. All right, so that was good shift. That was a good shift usage because we used it when he's low. All right, let's see, because we were little in our kind of little bubble there, and we there's a lot of stuff happening everywhere else. So let's see, what does our team do? So we use Flux Dragon. Dragon comes out very delayed. So that's not really our fault. If we communicated that, fantastic. Just make sure you are communicating it, because Flux Dragon is a very great combo. He ended up using it a little delay there. What did they use? So they used High Noon, and that is it. He kills Sigma because Sigma peeks him, and that's pretty much it. And they used mines beforehand, so They just kind of outfragged you guys, and we some people on our team messed up abilities, like we messed up Lamp and Hanzo messed up Dragon. Yeah, at this point, the fight is lost. We want to be making sure we're... Actually, no, never mind. Hog's fragging in the back line. Probably no reason to drop from high ground there. High ground's going to give us a lot of survivability here up against Sigma and Ball, and it's going to be a lot harder for him to get to us. So instead of dropping here, just run forwards to where, we can just peek high ground and shoot him. All right, that way we're not dropping and making it super easy for Ball to just roll up to us. I think we talked about this last time with positioning, maybe, but
Yeah, we did, yeah.
high ground's fantastic, right? Just make sure we're utilizing it, because on BAP we can get there pretty much instantaneously. But that also means we don't want to stay on the low ground, because then that means that instead of healing Hog, we're forced to look at Ball, and then that means that Hog is now critical when maybe wouldn't have needed to be critical. All right. So possibly, I'll probably say it would be a good idea to not have been so aggressive with our positioning. Hog, Baptiste versus Ball, Sigma probably means that Ball and Sigma have a little bit of an advantage on you guys, because you're very easy to kill, right, in comparison to two tanks. We stay in there a little long, and then what that means is they just kind of bait Lamp out of us, and yes, we get away, but now we're down a big cooldown. So us staying in there a little too long and means that we end up having to use Sigma, or sorry, we end up having to use Lamp, and then this also means that because our Hog stays in, we end up using Trance. So two big abilities are out because us and Hog stayed in a little too long. So just make sure we're backing up when we see that we're kind of at the disadvantage there. On top of that, I think they also got back faster, because they got some other players into the fight a little bit earlier, which I don't know if that was because they might have died faster, or they just had higher mobility or something of that, like, because the spawns are pretty even here. But as you can see, they kind of have more people directly there. Okay, ultimates. They have a blade again. They have a flux. They almost have mines. We have our ult. We want to make sure we're using it, early and not holding on to it. And then that's really unfortunate that we ended up using trance there. In this instance, we probably, we pretty much needed trance, so that sucks. Very nice frag. All right. Essentially, the big thing, we can say we talk all day about, like, what the problems with our team was, right? But the big problem that we had was that in the previous fight we just stayed too long, and then that meant we didn't have our Lamp for this fight, and then on top of that, because our Hog stayed in too long as well, which can come down to some communication stuff that forced out Trance. So there, we just wanted to back out and regroup faster, because the big problem we had that fight was just we didn't have our main ability. Who was that targeted to?
You don't see it. It's Zen.
Okay, there's Zenyatta.
Yep. Early, yeah.
A little bit of delayed reaction there. We kind of throw that after he's already dead. Just gotta work on that reaction time.
I think I was like looking at tab at that moment.
Yeah.
Don't know why I shifted there. That was.
When you see that you've lost a fight, don't try to heal people, because that just ends up staggering them longer, and it means that you're sticking in the fight longer. So here, trying to heal Soldier, right? What happens if he stays alive?
Nothing. He feeds more ult charge, basically.
He feeds more ult charge, and then on top of that, it just staggers him longer, right? There's no denying, it's like a 4v1 here. He dies no matter what. He's not getting out, which means that us healing him just feeds them ult charge and keeps him alive just a little bit longer, which staggers him longer. So, and then on top of that, that also keeps us here just a little bit longer, which can give them time to catch up to us. So don't heal people and don't heal yourself when you're trying to regroup from a stagger. Okay, ultimates, they have mines, they have Genji, they have McCree, and then we have High Noon, and that's it. I think one of the big problems just in general was a mismanagement of our ults and our abilities that's led them to even win these fights in the first place. Is that we have a ton of stuff that can counter their ultimates. Like they've won fights off of Flux and Blade, which we have. Blade is counterable by almost every single ult on your team. Blade is countered by Trance. Blade is countered by Sigma ult. Blade is countered by Whole Hog, and it's partially countered by High Noon unless he gets it deflected. So we shouldn't have any problem with Blade. And on top of that, Flux, we have Lamp and Trance for. Yet we've lost all these fights mainly because we've just misused Trance and we've over-ulted in a few fights because of our team, and we've misused Lamp. So we can really focus on the macro end of the game in this game and say a lot of the problems that we ended up having was because our team wasn't really coordinated, and we can help with that coordination if we're communicating, right? So just remember, on top of ult tracking, we have to come up with a plan for ultimates, and and that means that ult planning is like a kind of very solid secondary skill to have to ult tracking, is that you need to be able to say, hey, let's do this, right? So if they have Blade, hey, let's whole hog the Blade away. They have Blade and Sigma, like you can say, Zenyatta, you transfer for the Blade, I'll lamp for the Sigma ult, right? You want to make sure you have a plan against these ults, you're not just calling it out. And then on top of that, make sure your team's not over ulting. So tell your team, like, this is what I want you to use your ult for. Let's instead of we've over ulted a couple times, like, make sure we're you only using 2 or 3 ults. We're not using 4 ults. Make sure your Zenyatta knows this is what you should probably be using trance for. Don't transfer a hog that's half HP, right? When we need it for ultimates, right? So that's just what we really probably want to be. That's one of the big problems so far this game, besides our ability management, was that ultimates were all out of whack on our team. Okay. Probably. I don't know. Did we talk about? I don't think we talked about crosshair placement too much because we were on Ana, who doesn't require headshots. But just as a general gist of crosshair placement is make sure that your crosshair's at head level, because when it's at head level on characters that can hit headshots, you hit headshots more naturally. They become easier, and you'll just get more damage in. So make sure we're kind of letting our crosshair rest at head level rather than at body level. And we'll be hitting more shots here. You can kind of see that we drift downwards with our crosshair, so we kind of look at it at the ground here. Okay, looking at his feet, right? And then that just means that when we're going to shoot him, we are hitting a lot less shots and a lot less headshots. Oh, let me just skip there. Make sure we are being aware of our surroundings. We're paying attention to the Genji. On top of that, we need to be very ready for the Blade here, as we know that he has Blade, so we want to make sure we're especially keeping an eye on him so we can be ready with a lamp. On top of that, we probably don't want to be isolating ourselves from our team, right? If we isolate ourselves from our team, that means that we throw lamp out, or like that means that Genji just comes on us for free and we die, right? So in this instance, we probably want to be a little bit closer. We kind of end up dying because we weren't paying attention to him, and he gets Blade off for free on us, and then we never end up lamping. So more of an awareness thing on that end.
So would it have been better to just position with my team rather than on the high ground bit?
I'd probably say in that instance it'd probably be best if we were just sitting with our team, just because that allows us to lamp everybody and not be off on our own. Because if we're off on our own, then Genji gets us for free. And if we lamp ourselves, then he either kills us through lamp or he dashes over to our team. So it's just not gonna work out too well for us.
Again, kind of a weird shift.
Yeah. Okay, so now this is a little bit better of a lamp spot. So maybe let's see where health were we at when we threw this. All right, so we were pretty low there, so I think this is fine.
I think that's the end. That I think we just kind of
Stagger out.
curb stomped a little bit.
All right, so other one now, right?
Yep. Okay, so for BAP, it's mainly ability management and awareness of ults.
Yep, and then
Okay.
usage of our ult as well.
Yeah.
General mechanics was looking pretty solid. Make sure aim with your with your right click, nothing was wrong. With your left click, make sure that we're potentially trying to hit all 3 shots and that we're aiming head level. Because when you're on a character that can hit headshots, that's very good for you. Shift, yeah, ability usage was struggling a hair. Then besides that, positioning I think was fine. We did have pretty good positioning. All right.
Ready for bat. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming.
Let's get you back out there.
Objective A.
Damage amplified.
No, I don't think we haven't gone over Mercy at all, right?
No, we've just done was Anna last time. That was about it. We haven't done Mercy.
All right. So looks like I'm already spotting something we're gonna go over. So let's.
Let me get you patched up.
All right. So very start of this game, we can see it, and we'll see. I'll try to point it out if I notice it anymore. But at the very start here, we do something called overhealing, and overhealing is essentially it's the same thing we did on BAP when everybody's full HP and tranced, and we're just still right clicking and doing nothing. On Mercy, this is a lot more of a subtle thing to that a lot of Mercies end up doing is you end up going over to somebody's full HP and you use heal on them, and that is just wasted time flat out. And if that's a habit that consistently happens, that can end up wasting like full minutes of gameplay throughout a match. So we want to make sure we're keeping a very close eye on that. So the first thing that we want to do in a match is identify pocket targets as well. Pocket targets are the best things to pocket. In this team comp, probably the best one would be Hanzo to just default back to because he does consistent range damage. He's not the best pocket target out there, but he is the best on our team. And then we also want to identify some others, like what are good. I haven't seen this yet in our gameplay, but we also want to identify like what are good ultimate pockets or situational pockets. So like Genji and Hog, we would be pocketing when they ult, and then Hog we would be pocketing whenever he lands a hook. Now, here you're going to see in a moment when we come out of spawn here, we end up just kind of flip-flopping around between a lot of people, when what we want to be doing is sticking with our damage boost on Hanzo, so we can just be doing some damage. So we start off with the damage boost on Hanzo, great. We stop the Genji because he's in need of healing, but you're going to notice we stay on someone here with just, every time that we get someone to full HP, we should be immediately swapping the damage boost and looking for somebody else to heal. That way we're not basically wasting time. This instance right here, we stand healing.
Right. Yeah. In this moment,
Yep.
I was in comms. I was calling out the Reinhardt, so I think that's where my focus was, rather than actually focusing on who to heal or damage boost.
Yeah, and then here we also do it again. We did on the Ana, and then we did it as soon as we swapped to the Hanzo here. Heal, damage. Okay, so that was just what all was. What overhealing is. We'll notice if it's a habit that continues. Okay. I think we talked about how to know if someone's in danger. Did we talk about how to know if someone's in danger in terms of like when you need to nade somebody?
I don't think we did.
Like basically, if somebody's over here and they're critical, they are not in danger, right?
Oh,
Because
right,
they're behind
positioning.
cover, right?
Yeah.
So, but Reinhardt, who was in the open and he's critical, is in danger. Here, essentially, we want to make sure that we're always healing the thing that needs healing the most. So make sure we're paying attention and being aware here of Reinhardt, because we end up tunnel visioning and other things, and that ends up getting Reinhardt killed, right? So he's critical, and we're healing Ana and Genji, and also Roadhog is critical, and we're healing these two who are pretty high HP, right? So we want to make sure we're paying attention to Reinhardt because we end up reacting too late there. Good res. Okay, really nice swap heals.
My power grows strong.
Your support has arrived.
Nano boost administered. My strength only keep out of my way.
Damage increase.
Огонь
Take
по
cover.
готовности.
I've got you.
Alright.
Watch your back.
So at that point, the fight is done. Make sure we're backing up a little bit faster once again, as we stay in a little too long, right? Just a hair too long, right? The fight was lost right around here, right? We're down some people. Okay, it is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 versus 1, 2, 3, 3, right? Because we're
Yeah,
down the Hanzo and spawn, or the the Genji and spawn. All right, so it's a 5v3. Actually, sorry, is it a 3v3? Actually, no, it's a 3v3, but they also have a
Oh,
nano
yeah.
boost going, which puts us in a worse position, right? And then they also grab here in a moment, right? So they grab. As soon as we see that, we should be looking to just fly out.
What I was worried was, I thought if I flew to the Ana immediately, I might get caught in a grab. So that's why I tried to walk to the left a little bit,
Yeah,
so that I can fly to her. Yeah.
I see that. So honestly, that wasn't actually too delayed. So yeah, honestly, relooking on it wasn't that much of a mistake. So coming in the next fight, looking at ultimates, they just use a ton, which is really great for us. They have Pulse and they have Bob, and that is it. We have Valk, we have Shatter, we have almost Whole Hog and almost Dragon. So we should be looking to use an early Valk here.
Oh god, I remember what happens. I genuinely was second guessing, giving you this clip because I was so bloody embarrassed.
Never die.
You look tired.
This right here. Yeah. So.
Oh god.
Whenever
Same.
you Valk, you want to attain as much height as possible. Usually even if they have hit scan, but you want to use cover. So like for example, we can fly up to here and see everything, and we're not in danger of dying, but this gives us a ton of visibility and it gives us survivability, right? Sticking low to the ground is a recipe for disaster when you're Valking as Mercy, right? So when you're flying, you're still using the same principles of cover, right? You use buildings, you use structures, right? If you're Valking over here, you would use like this little arch here, right? You just want to make sure you're flying next to something. You're not flying right here, right? If we're flying right here, then we get shot at by Ana, Ash, Bob, Zarya, right? But here we just kind of stick on the ground a little too long, and then that means that we die super easily, right? So rather than letting Zarya shoot us, we probably would be much better off, flying up in the air above us, right? And then that would not kill us. So there was a positioning thing. Make sure with your Valkyrie getting high. Instances where you would want to be low is if there's absolutely no cover anywhere. If they start high nooning, or if we know that they have high noon, if we know that they have visor, if they have like a widowmaker, those are all instances where we can be a little bit lower. But if we have positioning that we can use up on the high ground and cover, then we want to make sure we're as high as we can get. Okay, very nice fly-in, good res, more over healing, good swap to damage boost.
You've got this. You should be at peak performance level.
Okay, more over healing. Okay, putting ourselves in support positioning, right? In this instance, we probably would be best off like if we were hovering somewhere in the middle, so that we have some people to fly to, but we can heal both sides. And then as soon as we start getting killed, we fly to somebody else. Here we fly up to Genji, again, put ourselves in the corner, and then Zarya starts shooting at us, and we fly away too delayed. So we kind of put ourselves closer to the fight, to kind of the action. On top of that, I don't know how the heck do we get melted so fast there. Zarya wasn't high energy, right?
No, she just had really good tracking, even for this entire match.
20 snap. It looks like we got shot by somebody else there. But yeah, just make sure we're being careful with our positioning. We're not in the open, because there we are in the open and we end up dying. Right, stand next to cover. Don't be in the open. Right, so while we're on Genji, we could be, around this doorway. Sorry, this would be better, a little bit better positioning than over here, right? While we're healing Genji, we're over here so that they can't see us. If we start getting shot at, we fly over this way, get inside here, right? We just want to go from cover to cover whenever we're flying on Mercy. Twice our deaths have come from poor positioning so far.
Starting over from the beginning.
Keep in mind, we talked about the 3 check marks of Ana positioning, right, or check boxes.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, so number 2 is don't let the enemy team see you if you're healing, right? We don't want them to see us. On Mercy, there's never a time where you're looking for nades. There's never a time where you're looking for sleeps. There's never a time where you really need to peek the enemy team. The only time you ever peek is if you're looking for information, right? And you are being safe about it. But in comparison to Ana, we can be behind cover much, much more often than Ana. So rather than standing next to cover, very often we're going to be completely behind cover, right? So we want to make sure that we're just respecting cover usage on Mercy here.
Damage increased.
Moving the payload. Join me.
Okay, I like that we're defaulting back to Hanzo. Alright, ult tracking, let's go back over this. So in between fights, they have Beat, they have Nano, they have Shatter, they have Grab, we have Shatter, we have Dragon, we almost have Whole Hog, so they're coming into this fight with a ton of ults. What call out can we make to possibly try to in this fight we're very likely to lose it, but we want to get as many ults as we can out and try to counter them still, right? Because that means that we have a better chance in the next fight. So what call out can we make to possibly give us a better chance at surviving this?
What, surviving their ults?
Mhm.
I'm not really too sure. Because if you've got Grav, which, I guess you don't want to all be grouped up too close with for Grav or Shatter.
Very perfect call.
Doesn't
That's
look-
exactly what you would say. Don't
Oh,
group
okay.
up. Don't stand together. Right. If everyone's on top of each other, they land the 6-man grab. We all die. If we're spread out and they only get like 1 or 2 people, oftentimes that's just gonna be the tanks, right? Because they're the easiest to grab, and then that makes it super easy for us to pocket, the tanks because they are the easiest things to keep alive through a grab, and they're gonna be the least likely to die. And then now grab doesn't get value. Same with the shatter, right? If we're all grouped up, we all get shatter, we all die, right? If we're not grouped up, then they shatter, and it's probably gonna be the tanks, and then we can pocket them and keep them alive. So, in both instances, we just want to make sure that we're spread out. We're not grouping up on top of each other. Same thing if they had a flux, right? Make sure we're not standing on top of each other. That way, we're not all getting fluxed up in the air. And that's the call out we can make to help get out of that situation. We don't have any defensive ultimates. So essentially, if they have Grav, we're probably gonna lose the fight because we don't have anything to stop it. So that's essentially here how we could be looking to get through this fight. But here we all stand on top of each other, and therefore they grab 4 people, right? Which means that had we call it, that means that they get a lot less value, and then when they don't get value out of the ultimate, that forces them to use more ultimates, right? And to try harder, and that even potentially gives us the makes the fight winnable for us, right? If they just mess up every ultimate. But there we all group up, which gets kills. Okay. Good res. Reses have seemed pretty okay so far. So maybe looking kind of opposite of our Baptiste here. Looks like ability usage is actually looking decently solid, and then positioning is going to be one of the ones that we're struggling with. But same things with ult tracking is just look to keep that stuff up because that's really how you can look to verbally carry and stand out, especially the higher up in ranks you go. Ults, they have Nano, they have Beat, we have Hanzo and Whole Hog. Not really anything we need to worry about here. Not a whole lot we need to ult track or plan for. Probably go for the res on that.
I think I do. Yeah.
Yeah, very nice reses so far. Like they were going from fast. Probably look to Valk soon. Don't hold on to it. Okay. just tiny bit delayed, right? Probably want to look at, again, we want to use our ults at the very beginning of fights, not late in the fights because they get more value. When Reinhardt's are duking it out like that, that's the start of the fight, right? So even a little bit before that, you can consider it the start of the fight. So here we should be pretty much pressing Q as soon as we get it. Just spam it, right? So that we press it. Here we delay it at like 5 seconds or so, right? And then that just means it gets less value. Now we're down 2 people. Make sure you're not holding damage boost when he's low HP. Don't try to save him there. If you... Yeah, just let him die in that instance. Alright, coming to the next fight. They have Shatter, they have Grab, they have High Noon, we have Hanzo, we have Blade, sorry. We have almost Shatter, almost Nano. So we are doing good on a lot of different areas right now. We could go for a Nano Blade here, they don't have any beat for it. They do have Grab though, so that's where you can tell your Genji, like you can say like, hey, let's look for Nano Blade here. Watch out, they might try to grab and shatter you, right? That's something you tell him, and then that way he's prepared for it. He can look to dodge it out. He can look to avoid it. And then on top of that, we want to make sure that we're damage boosting Genji when he goes for it, and probably don't want to use Shatter or Blade or Dragon here unless we absolutely need it. So you can just tell him look for Nano Blade, and then if we need it, Dragon or something like that. Okay, so we get an early pick. Looks like we're really good at swapping between people and knowing who to be on. Though again, more overhealing right here where we track him up the top. Here when he's going up, right? More
bit, yeah. That's
right?
what you mean.
More overhealing.
More overhealing.
Right.
I switched. I think I know to switch to damage. I just do it a little bit late.
Yeah. So our team wants to use Dragon Blade here. Now they have a ton more ultimates now that they won that last fight. They have Nano, they have Barrage, they have High Noon. I didn't even see them use Grab Shatter there, but apparently they use Grab Shatter. I'm blind. So now we just have to make sure our team is very aware that they're going for a Nano Barrage, most likely, right? That means that our Ana has to be ready with his sleep. We just let them know we pay attention to the Pharah, and that way nothing happens to us.
My ultimate is ready.
Okay, very good with the reaction time to him. Make sure you're just paying a little bit of extra attention to him, and you're keeping an eye on him so that you're on him with the damage boost. Because here we just came in just a hair right after he goes for it, and potentially he might dash out of your line of sight. So you have to be just ready for him and watch for him. But really, really nice job being with him. And more overhealing. Right, and then you just notice when it happens all the time, it just adds up, right? Seconds turn into minutes across tons of gameplay. So it's just a bad habit you want to look to get out of. Okay, ultimates.
Again. Yeah.
Yep, ultimates. They have Nano, they have Shatter, they have High Noon. Make sure our team is aware of all that. They're not looking for any big combos though, besides maybe Nano, High Noon. On our side, we want to make sure we're using Valk early. We have a whole hog, so make sure we're pocketing the hog when he's going for it. One thing we have not, I don't think, been too aware of is when Hog is landing hooks. I haven't really seen us paying too much attention to him. I don't know if we've been on him too frequently. Make sure that we're paying attention to when he lands hooks, because I guarantee he's landing the hooks at some point, because that's just when we want to damage boost him to make sure he secures the kill. So just make sure we're paying attention to our Hog.
Oh no, I remember no!
Another thing happened here. Make sure again we're not being delayed with the Valk.
Yeah.
This is where the fight's starting, right? We want to make sure we're using it early in the fight, not holding on to it.
You should be at peak performance.
So let's see what.
More pain incoming. That's what it was.
All right. Oh wait, the Hainan. Yep. So in this instance, right, floating out in the open, right. So instead of this,
Yeah.
now we get the exact same effect now, but nobody can shoot at us, right? We can see all our whole team. We can fly to anybody we need to. We're out of. We are outranging the Ryan. We're outranging the Zarya, right? Except for we can't get High Noon from here. So just cover usage in the sky, right? Now let's get into just a wrap up here. So our problems on BAP and Mercy are actually very different. So when we do a when we do the like kind of main points out of both of them, we'll probably do them in like kind of separate categories. So just keep in mind that when you're practicing both of them, that you're working with kind of main points on both on two different things. So it's not going to be the same. So just keep that in mind. Baptiste, big main point is your is your ability usage, right? We're messing up shifts a whole lot, right? Make sure that you're either using it when you need healing or when your team is in danger or is critical, and you're trying to burst heal. This can also just be when you have a ton of people around you who all need healing, right? That's just so you get the group healing going. But you can also group heal like this, right? But it just is a little bit more, a little bit more group healing that goes all around you. With your E, this is the biggie here on Baptiste, is make sure that we are looking to use our ability correctly. So rather than plopping it straight here on the open, we want to make sure that we're placing it next to pillars, things that can block it, cover, put it around corners. If your team's in here, make sure that you're putting it in here. Keep in mind it's line of sight based, so I believe if it goes up there, then actually it will see us. Okay, so as long as the doorway is high enough, it will be able to see us. So we just have to be aware of that, right? So place it around cover. Big one. Make sure as well with the timing that we're paying attention to the danger level of people, so we're being prepared for people to need it. Look for ultimates in situations where it is needed, as sometimes we just ended up using it when we probably could have held on to it, and then that means that people end up dying. Keep in mind with the placement that it follows pretty much the same. I believe it follows the same trail as your right clicks. So you can kind of, so if you throw it there, we throw it, right, it's going to the exact same spot. So I believe a tech that you can use to, and I'm just saying this from what I think I remember hearing, is that you can just right click and then toss it, so you can kind of see where your right clicks, where it's gonna go right beforehand. So that's gonna be a way that you can kind of check to make sure it's on the right path. If you right click beforehand and then notice the right click's a little bit off, you can do a last second adjustment. So if our right click goes here, we can adjust upwards, right, to make sure it's going to the place we want. Now besides that, just work on the arc with it, and that was probably one of the bigger ones on our Baptiste. Ultimate usage, make sure that on both, actually, I'll probably say that was like the big difference. Ultimate usage on both of our supports needs to work, as well as our ult tracking and ult planning. With our ultimate on Baptiste, make sure that we're using it early and we're not holding on to it. Same with our Mercy, that we're using it earlier in fights. Earlier you use it, the more value it's going to get, right? Use it when you see the fight's basically starting, very beginning of the fight, when both teams are about to start duking it out, brawling with each other. You don't want to use it too early to where the enemy team can just run away and they're not really anywhere close to you, but you want to use it before they start using their ultimates. And general mechanics, right clicks, no problem with them, but with your left clicks, just make sure that instead of aiming body level, we're aiming at head level, so that these headshots become easier, especially like when we're spamming when we're aiming head level. It just means that we're doing a whole lot more damage, and you want to keep your crosshair head level because it means there's less adjustment, and that therefore makes the shots easier to hit. Positioning up app, pretty good. No problems with positioning. We didn't die too frequently from our positioning. Your shift, no problem with it. Not really any problem with your shift. Just make sure you're not doing it too frequently if you have a ton of pressure on you. But besides that, if you have zero pressure on you, just do it as frequently as you like, because it gives you good visibility over the whole fight and makes your right clicks a little bit easier to land because you have an upwards angle, right? So just, if they don't have anything to shoot, use it as often as you want. Awareness, probably say awareness is another one that just is probably in a medium category of what needs to be worked on. Our Baptiste, kind of I'll put awareness in the middle, but I think it kind of goes along with the ult management with your team and ult tracking. But I'd probably say your ult tracking is just kind of a big enough thing to where it's kind of gets its own separate category. So awareness not too big of a problem, and just generally when it comes to paying attention to what's happening around you. Just the big thing is just make sure you're paying attention to your tanks. Make sure you're paying attention to when people are in danger. Make sure you're paying attention to kill feed so you know when to back out of fights so you're not staying in fights too long. And then pay attention to ult tracking. So, on the ult tracking end, make sure not just saying, hey, they have this, but you're also coming up with a plan. Hey, they have this, so let's do this, right? That can be a lot of the times that's going to be countering ultimates with your own ultimates. When you're planning, make sure you're looking to combo as many ults on your team as you can, and you're looking to not over ultimate, use over ults, and then that way you have ults for the next fight. And then that is the gist. You can also do things such as tell them to not group up and save abilities and stuff like that. Right? Tell your Zenyatta, hey, don't trans the hog, transfer the flux and the blade. Then onto Mercy. Mercy, same concept with your ultimates as we talked about before. Same concept with the ult tracking as we talked about before. The main difference is our abilities. I'd probably say is our abilities on Mercy are pretty solid. I probably would say we have pretty decent flying. We don't have terrible flying mechanics. Our reses are actually really, really good. Probably say reses are actually one of the strongest parts of our kit we have. We go for them very frequently. We get away with them. We go for good reses, and we have good awareness of when people need reses. So that was really, really nice. Our beam usage, so I'll just call this our mechanics when it comes to just who to be on. Beam targets are actually very solid. We knew who to be on. Just make sure you're focusing on the characters like Hog for situational damage boost. So if he needs damage boost, put it on Hog. Pay attention to your tanks a tiny little bit more, as we are very centered on our DPS and supports, which is a good thing on supports. Just want to make sure you're being aware of everybody. And then besides that, just make sure you're not overhealing, because that's just wasted time, and it will add up over time. Now, besides that, positioning was the other one that needed a little bit of work on our Mercy. Just make sure, you're putting yourself behind cover. Even while you're ulting, you're putting yourself behind cover while you're in the sky, right? So they're up in the air and away from damage, but then you're also around cover, so you're not getting shot by high noon and hit scan. So that was the other big one, was positioning. Just make sure you're putting yourself behind cover. I think that is pretty much it. So main points on overall, probably say the one that goes with both of them would be your ult tracking and ultimates. But individually, on Mercy, the biggest main point was your, or kind of just individual to Mercy, was your positioning. And then on Baptiste, the biggest main point specific to him was your ability usage. And then everything else just needs to get a little bit more consistent. Mercy ability usage, very, very solid. Awareness in general just needs a little bit of work on. So that's just kind of more in the medium range. Do you have any questions on anything that we've talked about?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a little bit weird how it's kind of like opposite problems on between Mercy and Bath. It's weird. I never really noticed that before.
Yeah, it's like I think in some areas you share it. Ultimates is the same.
Right.
And ult tracking still needs to get consistent between both of them, because it's not like you just all of a sudden get better ult tracking and planning, across the different characters. That's not different. But I think we do use, especially our abilities are different, and our positioning's just a little bit worse on our Mercy. So yep, pretty much it. I'm gonna end the recording here.